welcome to the GILLYBIKES channel and welcome to Into Moto, because that's where I am today. And I'm on this, what do we think? It's the Lexmoto XDV125, and I've been on a few scooters that have this kind of style, but this just seems incredibly cheap. And I don't know whether it's going to be a cheap and nasty or just a cheap bargain. The way it looks and feels at the minute is very positive, but what I can't get my head round is, let me use an example. So same dual bike, very similar to this, and it's around the £4,000 mark, there or thereabouts. This brand new is just under £3,000. Now this example here is, it's one of those bikes that has little to no mileage on, but because it's got a previous owner, so a pre-registered one, it's a little over £2,000. I think it's 2299 that Into Moto are selling it for. So I want to really check this bike out to see, is it cheap and nasty or is it just an absolute bargain? Let's start with a normal look around the bike. You let me know in the comments, what do you think of the looks? There's the close-up. Now these are a bit rugged. They look like they're built for the occasional little gravel track, and I know Honda do something very similar, and it's Honda, so it's bound to be 10 times more expensive, but I think it is something like £5,000 or £6,000, so it's a hell of a lot more expensive than this. But looks wise, they are very similar styled, and I know everyone will say it's a Lexmoto, so it'll be naff, it'll be cheap, it'll rust, it'll, you name it. People always go on about the build quality, anything from China, but looking around this, it does look really nicely put together, I've got to say. Now, I am a massive fan of Keeways, bizarre me saying it, I know, but Keeway have really upped the game in the quality department, and dare I say it, Lexmoto look like they're doing exactly the same way with this scooter. I've seen a couple of their bikes recently that look like they really are trying much harder with the quality checks, let's say. This does look mint. Now it has got tubeless tyres. It is a belt drive, this bike, as well. It has got the standard centre stand and it's got a side stand as well. They look quite substantial, not cheap and nasty. It actually looks like a decent bit of kit, this. The seat looks nice and comfortable. This is keyless. I can tell that just by looking at it. I haven't got the keys yet, by the way. I forgot to ask for them. I've just got too giddy. But it is keyless. You can tell it's got your on button here, and you can see the functions there. So this is going to put your steering lock on. It's going to open up your fuel, your seat, all that stuff. So I'll do that very shortly. And as you can see by the drops on here, it's been gorgeous the last couple of weeks, but it's raining because I'm Into Moto riding a motorbike. It's like a car size key or key fob. Boing. So fuel tank we've got here, this holds 13.5 litres of fuel, so decent amount, and with it being a 125, you know you're going to get loads of miles out of that. That decent amount of storage right under the seat. Let me grab my helmet and see if it fits in there. Okay, so you can see there with my helmet, excuse the GoPro ready on there, but I've got a full face helmet. It's a size, I think it's an extra large. I've got a big old head, but it does fit the full face helmet in there, and it kind of shuts like a boot. Nice. So the engine on this is a water-cooled 125cc. It's got 12.5 horsepower, and It says it will do 66 miles per hour top speed, which for something like this I think is pretty good. Dual shocks at the back, and you can see this is a brand new bike. We've still got the colour on the tyre as well. I think it's got about 30 miles on or something. It's not got much. It's a good looking machine. It's 156 kilograms. So as far as scooters go, that I wouldn't say is particularly light. It's light as far as a motorbike goes, but as far as a scooter goes, no. It's nice and easy to manoeuvre. Now, I'm a clumsy bugger when it comes to moving bikes around, I'll admit it. I don't move bikes around for a living. If you go into one of these bike dealers, they throw bikes around like you wouldn't believe. It's impressive to watch when they're wheeling them about. I like to be a bit more careful because I don't do it as often as these guys, but 156 kilograms, it's actually really easy to push around. It doesn't have the step through, but it's part of the style of this bike. So you do have this in the center, can't put your foot straight through. However, the seat is much higher than this center bit, so you can kind of put your foot through like that to get on the bike. And you can see it's another tippy toes job. Again, what I'm going to put that down to is the bike itself. It's 810 millimeter seat height. So for myself, I'm 5'8" with a 29-inch inseam. I am just a little bit off flat footing. You're talking, yeah, a little tiny bit, but it doesn't feel too high. Now, 810 millimeters on a scooter, don't compare it to a motorbike, for instance, because the seats tend to be wider. So because you're spread over it a little bit more, it feels a little bit taller than 810 millimeters. 810 millimeters on a motorcycle, I'd be flat footing, but not on this. I'm like, if I stretch, maybe at a push, but it feels comfortable. The seat feels really comfortable, to be fair, and as I've mentioned, the weight, you can see it's so easy to just push around with your feet. And this isn't level ground, so kind of going uphill a little bit, but you can see how easy it is, even with somebody with my short legs. Seating position, this does feel a little bit high, I'm not gonna lie. From your seating position, I do feel like it is quite a high position. However, because it's a scooter, you can move back in the seat a little bit, makes it higher, might make it a little bit harder for me to get my legs down, but as a riding position, it's probably more comfortable. But you do have your standard scooter foot plates as well, so you can have your feet down, but they do have like a cruiser position or a highway position. Makes it a little bit more comfortable for riding. You're not just stuck in the one place, you can stretch your legs out, which is a good touch. Beautiful British weather. It's starting to pee it down on me, standard, but I'm not going to let it defeat me. I'm still going to go and try it. Like the clear lenses, dual shocks at the back, so that kind of makes it a little bit better for going over the lumps and bumps, which we get a lot of in the UK. Buttons, fairly standard buttons. You've got your horn, your indicators, there's a high and a low beam, there's a hazard light, there's even a flash around there as well. Right hand side, we've got your engine start, we've got an auto stop start. I like that. That's just another way of saving money, but you can switch that off as well, so I like that as well. So we'll have a little go of that when we're riding. We'll see how good that is and how good the system works. And then you've got an engine cut off. Got to try and work out what that button is, because that picture kind of looks like a bin eating a squirrel. You've got your rev counter going across the top, nice big fuel gauge, so you're not going to run out of fuel. You can see there quite clearly how much you've got in. Looks like they've left me a full tank as well. I'll try not to use it all. Try and get, yeah, it's just the camera is showing a reflection, but in reality there isn't one. You can see everything nice and clearly, so don't pay too much attention to the camera view and just see a reflection of me. Now I've got my beautiful assistant out here, is, well, they've just disappeared. Cole's here instead. What we've got is a adjustable front screen as well that looks very, very easy.
Quite nice, that. It's got 3 settings on it.
So 3 settings, that is decent actually.
So if you'd put it on for me riding it, it'd be around about there. But with you riding
it,
he's being to be down there.
Okay, so he's being heightist, but you know, we'll ignore that, we'll let that go. But he's right, to be fair, the shorter rider, that's decent. Well, not a lot of scooters have adjustability like that. Is adjustability a word? I don't know. But many scooters, they just don't have stuff like that. So that's a nice touch. What have we got here? We've got 12 volt as well. Yeah, there is a 12 volt there. And on this side, nice little bit of storage in here. Have we got a USB? Yes, there is. So we've got a USB port in there. Let me just double check it is a USB. Yeah, so it's a USB port. Motorbikes don't seem to have caught on like cars for the... It's all about the USB-C now, isn't it? Bikes are still USB, but still very useful. Nice little charging port there to stick your phone, charge it while you're riding. Like it. So when I got into Moto today, it was nice and dry. Not so much now. If you've seen my reviews before, I don't care what the weather is. If I'm going to show you around a bike, we just ride in the conditions we've got. So I'm going to take this bike out for a nice little rainy ride. But I just want to check what's the performance like, and then, and only then, can I make a decision. Is this a cheap and nasty bike, or is it just a cheap bike that you should buy? I'm going to be wet today. I can feel it. I'm already damp. I'm going to be soaked. Oh, I absolutely hate putting my gloves on when you've got wet hands and the inside bit of your glove just sticks to you. Makes it bloody impossible to get on. Anyway, done. Success. I can feel my fingers and everything. Whew. So I'll make use of that tiny bit of step through that we've got there. Let's start her up. Ooh. Now, that, again, I've been on some premium, I'm going to call them premium scooters. I've been on the Yamaha XDV125 very recently, and that bike started very similar to this. It's not on, you press the button, the engine's on, there's no like battery, you can't hear the starter motor, it's just kind of off or it's on. I like it, it's like premium touch. But unlike the Yamaha, this has got a little bit of vibration from the mirrors. Now, it's only a little bit, you can still see everything behind you, but there's a little bit of vibration. That's not going to bother me. I've been on some Royal Enfields, look at that one there. I've been on some of them that rattle a hell of a lot more than this, so only a slight thing. Right, so if you are smaller like my good self, how easy is it to maneuver? Now, I've already said it's dead easy when you're walking it, but if you're slow speed maneuvering like this, again, it's nice and easy. So if you are not the strongest person in the world, you're not going to have an issue with that, whether you're walking it, whether you're using the throttle to take you around. But a decent turning circle. Ooh. And when you're giving a little bit more, it's a little bit nippy. A little bit nippy. Not in the breast sense of nippy. No, it is. It's quite spritey. This it does shift a little bit. So I'm at the traffic lights now. So as soon as these lights go to green, I'll give it a little bit up here just to see what the performance is like to get to normal road speed. Pulling out onto the main road, it seemed quite quick. And there we've got 30 miles an hour. Yeah, that got there in no time at all. Now, what I will say, the specs on this bike say it will do a top speed of 66 miles an hour. I'm not going to do that today, out of respect for Moto and the new owner of this bike when it's sold. This bike is, I mean, it's not running, it's got 44 miles or 40 something miles. It's not got a lot of miles on here, so I'm not going to be doing anything silly on it. I'm only doing an initial impressions ride just to get an idea. And also, it's on brand new rubber and it's wet, so I'm not going to be doing anything silly. But as a bike to ride around town, it's got me to 30 miles an hour nice and quickly. It's comfortable. The seat is soaking up all of the bumps. My seat position, because I've shuffled a little bit back in the seat, it's nice where my legs are. Yeah, comfortable. I could certainly spend a lot of time on this bike. And it's a scooter, so come on. This is what scooters excel in, isn't it? The old sneaky. Let's get past these cars. Tucking in there, thank you very much. But this is what these bikes, keep wiping my lens, but this is what these bikes are perfect for. It's what they were made for me. The town riding, not a lot of space, you can just nip in and out of traffic and you can do it it's just in comfort. And even though the weather is pretty shocking now and I'm getting soaked, I can't fault this little thing. Need to get to a faster road though. 30 miles an hour, it feels as good as any other scooter I've ever been on, and yet cheap. And it's ridiculously cheap. £2,299 for a pretty much new 125cc scooter is a bargain. 45 miles an hour, and yeah, it just feels as comfortable as it did at 30. A saving of around £800, £700-800, because the bike has got a couple of miles on. Now that for me is, well, it's just common sense, isn't it? Why go out and order a brand new one of these bikes because you want one that hasn't got 40 odd miles on? And yeah, if you did go and order one of these bikes brand new and you spend the £3,000, I do think you would be very happy with your bike choice. Absolutely I do, because it's still a lot of bike for £3,000. But if you are financially, well, if you've got some financial sense about you, you would know that saving 800 or 700 or 500 or whatever is a saving. And if you're going to save that amount of money for the sake of a bike having 40 odd miles, then it just makes perfect sense. Now, for me personally, if I was to buy this bike myself, and at the moment I'm not in the market for a scooter, so this bike is still for sale at Moto. But if I was to buy a bike like this myself, I would put 40 miles probably on the ride home. So by the time you got home, it would have the same amount of miles as this. So it's kind of like, it would be stupid of someone like myself to go, oh no, I want a brand new one, not one with 40 miles on. Because by the time I get it home, it'll probably have more than 40 miles on. In which case, I've gone over the miles that this has got, and I've paid the extra money. And that's just silly. If you're that way inclined and you want to pay £3,000 for it, give Moto £3,000 for it and tell them to give me the difference, because I'm a bit skint at the minute. The kids absolutely just battered my bank balance when I took them on holiday last week. In all seriousness though, it just makes sense, doesn't it? You buy a pre-registered motorcycle, a scooter of this type, and the only downside of it is it will be down as having one owner on the logbook prior to you, and yet you save all the money. And really, it kind of makes sense, because the person who's bought this bike, has sold this bike, has lost £800. So you've basically saved what they've lost. I mentioned before the auto stop start. It has stopped. Little twist of the throttle, engine comes back alive, and we're off. That's a really good system, works really well. It's actually ticking all of the boxes for me, this little thing. I've not done many miles on this. It was an initial impressions ride, and also, as I said, with a bike like this, you're buying a brand new motorcycle. So if you're looking for a scooter, if you're looking for a brand new scooter, if you're looking for a bike that is just makes financial sense, this does, you know. It really does. It's a nice bike. It's available at Into Moto. It is wet now, unfortunately, but you know, the guys at Into Moto will clean it and get it back in the showroom for whoever wants to buy it. So thanks for watching. I highly recommend this bike as great value, and actually a really nice bike to ride. So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Laters.